then we should have everything lined up. This is the first time trying on YouTube, so I'm interested to see how that works out.
Okay, cool.
Ha, there we go. I'm live right now. Perfect.
Sweet.
Let me scroll over to the right, and ba-boom. We are doing great. Yay, we already got people bugging us in the
Woo.
bugging us
Woo
with the
woo.
emotes. So I may have to move your screen a little bit because this is gonna the little screen share is gonna be a little bit of a pain in the butt, but we will survive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I need to figure out a better way to have guests on here because I'm still experimenting with it. But regardless, howdy, I'm Max. This is Entrepreneur Yahoo. Today we have a guest, which is really exciting because I usually don't have guests. But I was doing some research. One of my friends, actually, in my Krav Maga class here in Pittsburgh. I was just kind of chatting with them. She's the teacher. Her name is Michelle, and really, really cool gal. And she was telling me all about how she has a little bit of a side hustle, and she like kind of sells art online. She does illustrations, she does designs, whatever. Your usual job is doing freelance design work, just mostly for logos, things like that. And that's what she does a little bit more full time. But during most of the year, she sells online some designs that she makes in just kind of in her own time. And she's, I think, during the way she expresses it is like most of the time it's just like a little bit of extra cash that helps a lot just during the year, and then around like December and the holidays she'll actually be making a full-time salary and she can really take a lot of time off. And so it's just in terms of her life and her profession, it's been unbelievably helpful, and she learned everything from your website. Um,
Mm.
it was really cool. And so this is Michael Essek. He teaches, you can check him out,
Hello.
michaelessek.com. And he teaches people like us, just everyday individuals, how to use art and art techniques and art skills, just, kind of design proficiency into a revenue stream and even a business if you really dedicate your time to it. So that's who he is. I checked his blog out a bunch. He has a lot of really, really awesome information in there, a few courses. And yeah, so we're gonna kind of go through it. We're gonna actually try to publish something online just to understand the process and how that works. And then Michael's gonna give us a really nice kind of just be able to answer my questions because I have plenty. So
Absolutely. Yep.
awesomeness.
Let's do it.
Yeah. So I would love to kind of hear just on a basic level, like what you kind of see as a t-shirt business, like because you kind of call it a t-shirt business online, but it's a bunch of different little things. There are things like Redbubble, and there was another one. What was it? T Public, and a few of these other kind of sources online that you can
Mm-hmm.
sell your art through. And so
Mm-hmm.
just run through kind of in your own words, like what that kind of business is, and how it functions.
Yeah, I guess maybe the best way for me to do that is just to explain how I got started in this
Perfect.
kind of business. So, um, I think it was maybe 2013 or so. I had a kind of side hustle that was making me a few $100s a month, and I sold it. And then after I sold it, I realized that I no longer could receive the few $100s a month it was making, and I missed it. I missed the few $100s a month I was making. So I thought, well, what else can I do? There must be something else I can look into. And it was around the time that there were these websites like T Fury and others. I don't know if you're familiar with those, but they did like 24-hour a day sales on design. So they would do very limited runs of a certain pop culture design. They're still going today. Yeah, they're still there.
Yeah, yeah.
And artists were making quite a lot of money because this was kind of a new thing at the time. So it was really taking off. Artists would sell hundreds a day because the designs were limited edition. And I can't even remember how I stumbled across it, but somehow I did. I got kind of sucked into this world. I was researching everything, and I kind of have a art and design background. I did art and design at college. Never pursued it as a career, but I had enough, basic skills in art and design that I thought, well, I could put together something that's similar to these designs. Let me have a go and see what I can do.
Mhm.
So that's what I did. I initially submitted to a lot of these sites like T Fury, and then I discovered that most of these artists were also selling on Redbubble and TeePublic and a few other sites like that. So I uploaded some designs there on Redbubble, and I think maybe a month or so in, I had my first sale. Um, I think it was a £2 or about $3 royalty I made.
Mhm.
Excuse me, on that first sale I made, and since then I just kind of when that money dropped in, I just realized, okay, this actually works. This could work.
Mm-hmm.
And I only had maybe 5 designs up at the time, so I thought, well, this is a numbers game. If I create more designs, I'll make more money. And it's been a long road, but from 2013, 2014, and then around 20, I think it was 2015, Amazon launched a similar kind of system called Merch by Amazon, where people could upload designs and they would appear within the Amazon marketplace. So basically, it's like a mini Redbubble within Amazon, and
Mm-hmm.
it's completely within the system. So that kind of transformed my business. Before then, I was doing maybe a few $1,000s a month in royalties. That basically doubled overnight when Merch came along, and I got all my designs on there. And since then, it's become a full-time gig. I now have a number of designers who I work with to create designs. We have tens of thousands of designs live across various sites, and
That's
it's
so
morphed
cool.
from a side hustle and from a something to make a little bit of extra money into my full-time job. I now employ my sister and family members and stuff. So yeah, it's just I think if I could sum up, that's kind of my history. If I could sum up what the business is and how it works, it's really a royalty-based business, which is basically, if you think of any kind of artist who creates something, whether that's a musician or maybe a filmmaker, director, or people who create art like myself, they make their money based on royalties. So they create something, they put it out there, and then if it sells and people like it, they continue to get that royalty every time it sells. And that's basically the business. It's build up a portfolio of artwork, of assets, you could call them, that will continue to make money for you into the future. So there's lots of detail which we'll get into, but that's kind of, I would say, if you want to understand this business, think of it that way. Don't think of it like you're a seller who's selling stuff. Don't think of it like you're a freelancer who's being commissioned. Think of it as you are creating assets, a bit like a writer. If you were a writer and you created books and you wrote books, like you were J.K. Rowling, you wrote Harry Potter, she'll still be getting royalties for Harry Potter until she dies,
Mm-hmm.
because that's
Mm-hmm.
how the royalty system works. So it's basically like that, but with art, and you do it online,
That's
if that
super
makes sense.
fucking cool. I love that. That's awesome. No, I think that's a really nice full description, and that's really really cool that you've expanded it to such like a large scale thing. Because once you had the formula down, once you had everything down, it started to make a lot more sense, and you're able to scale things out. That's so so cool. Um, so let's see. Ooh, okay. So I'm just reading some comments over here.
Yeah.
Katrina. Actually, hey, Katrina, I was checking out your profile. I really like the post you recently made about when those LinkedIn tools. And then Aswin says, "Hey, Michael, on your newsletter, and appreciate all the content you put out. Yay, we
Great.
have a
Thank you.
fan." Do you have any article or any content on how you got to start a personal store instead of sites like Redbubble? Okay, cool. So how to start a Printful store instead of sites
Mm.
like Redbubble and TeePublic. Do you know anything about that or?
Yeah, so Printful is if you think about Redbubble, Redbubble is a complete system. So Redbubble works like it's like a Walmart. You
Mhm.
upload your artwork, and Redbubble will do everything else. So if you, for example, had a T-shirt that was stocked in Walmart, um, they would handle everything. So with Redbubble, they print the shirt for you, they mail it out to the customer, and you don't do anything. So Printful actually does the back end. So they don't do the front end. Printful does not take orders from a customer. What Printful will do is print your design on a shirt and mail it out
Gotcha.
to a customer on your behalf. So they're like a drop shipper,
They're like drop
effectively.
shipping. Okay, yeah, this is
Yeah.
like drop
So
shipping,
you
whereas
would
the
use
others are like.
Printful with Etsy or with Amazon if you wanted to sell directly on Amazon, like with a
Gotcha.
Seller Central account, or if you had your own website, like a Shopify store or whatever,
Mhm.
WooCommerce or something. You could use Printful to handle the printing and the shipping on the back end. So I do use them. We use them with our Etsy store. We've used them for years. They're very reliable, very good. There are competitors. There's Printify and a couple of others out there we've used. But basically, yeah, the big thing to understand about Printful is they are the back end. So they're not going to take orders. You're going to have to, uh, set up an Etsy store, uh, you know, optimize your listing so that you're going to get traffic and everything. And Printful are going to they give you the opportunity to print on the back end, ship it out, and you don't have to touch anything. So I've never printed a t-shirt, but we sell hundreds of t-shirts every month.
Gotcha.
Um, these guys will do it, and it's all on demand. That's kind of a key element of the whole business model, is that the technology now exists for t-shirts to be printed on demand. So
Hmm.
Printful takes a blank t-shirt. They don't, there's nothing pre-printed. There's no stock apart from blank t-shirts. And as soon as your customer orders a, copy of your design on a shirt, they're going to take the blank shirt, print your design on it, and put it in a mailing bag and mail it out. And it could be out, it could be shipped to them within a day or two.
That's awesome.
So
That's
that's kind
super
of
cool.
essential to this business model.
That makes sense, yeah. And is there any benefit, like from what I've heard, I've done a little bit of like research on e-commerce, and this kind of reminds me of the argument between like affiliate marketing versus like drop shipping, right? So there are existing
Mm,
products that you go after, and the argument, there's kind of an online argument between like affiliate marketing versus drop shipping. And drop shipping is harder because you actually have to supply the products, and they're sent, and there are sources to do that, and it's a little bit like, but it's just more logistics, right?
mm,
Whereas affiliate marketing is just like you sell something for somebody else, maybe like an Amazon
yeah.
product or something like that, and you
Yeah.
just get royalties or commission or whatever.
So this is kind of somewhere in between the two, really. I mean, you're not an affiliate
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you are the owner of the design.
Hmm.
It's and you're not a drop shipper in the sense that you're not selling someone else's product. You're selling your own product. So you have a degree of ownership over what's happening here. So it's probably closer to something like if you're a writer for Amazon and you used
Yeah.
Kindle Direct Publishing and you created stories. It's kind of like that. You're creating an asset, a story, and you're allowing Amazon to sell it for you. So you're benefiting from their reach, their marketplace, and all their customers and everything. And but you retain some ownership. It's not like an affiliate where you don't, you're what do you create as an affiliate? You create a blog post. Okay, you own a blog post. You maybe own the Google ranking for a bit, but everything is kind of, you know, built on sand a little bit. Whereas at least with this kind of business model, you do create something and you own it. At the
Hmm.
end of the
Hmm.
day, when all's said and done, even if whatever you never sell one or your listing never ranks or anything like that, you have created a design and you can reuse that design. You can upload it to other sites. You could try it again. You can do this. You can do that. Um, so yeah, it's somewhere between those two kind of business models, if you like.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. That totally makes sense. That's awesome. Okay, cool. So, getting into the questions, kind of the way you phrase it, we were communicating a bunch on email.
Hmm.
Oh, Aswin has something to say. What does he say? Oops, don't wanna. The margins of branding opportunities interest me in moving my designs to my own store. The biggest thing I'm worried about is losing the SEO credibility to show up in the shopping section of Google. I think that's how people are finding my best TeePublic designs. Interesting. So he's worried, like he wants to shift to a new store, assuming
Mm,
because he believes he'll make more profits there, because usually you make a bit more profits with drop shipping like things because you own everything, you
yeah,
own the whole system that's going on.
yeah,
But he's afraid he may lose SEO credibility because people he believes like via Google, people are
showing up
finding
in
his
Google. Yeah, yeah.
TeePublic. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it depends kind of where you want to take this thing, but I mean, me personally, we created a lot of designs. We have and still do have kind of a brand that we promote, through Instagram and stuff.
Hmm. Hmm.
But principally, most of our designs are not anonymous, but they don't, people don't buy them because of the brand. People buy them because of the design. That's the
Yeah. Yeah.
motivating factor. So my kind of approach to this is basically, why wouldn't you want your designs up everywhere they could be? We put them
That's a good
on
point.
Redbubble, TeePublic, everywhere. And then we also, built a Shopify store and built out a bit of a brand
Okay.
for some of our best sellers, or for a bit of a smaller niche selection of designs. So I would say, why are obviously you can't take your designs from TeePublic and point them to your Shopify store,
Yeah.
but I would say, why not have both, and keep everything live, and just you don't have to take something off somewhere, just
That's a good
to
point.
start
I
it
like
somewhere
that.
else. You know what
Why
I mean?
not both? Yeah, I like
Yeah,
that.
why not do it all? I mean, the only reason you might not want to is because you feel you have got to the place where you are a brand, or you are a known entity. You're an artist with followers and fans or something. In which case, yeah, you could decide, I'm going to take them all off TeePublic. I'm going to just point everyone to my Shopify store where I make more profit, which is fine. You may decide to do that, but even then, I think, well, I'd rather me be, on the front page of Google as a TeePublic listing, down the page, and get some some royalty from the sale than it go to someone who's copied my artwork or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is a problem in this industry, in this business.
Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, I would
So yeah,
assume
there's that
copyright and
aspect
stuff
as
like that.
well.
That's cool. Okay, awesome. That's good. I'm glad we went through with that. Yeah, and Aspen says
Mm.
very true. Awesomeness. So we were discussing a little bit before this over email, and you said the kind of the required inputs just in general are market ideas and designs, and that makes sense. Like you want to have cool designs. Like everybody kind of that's a necessary because that's what you're selling. But I was curious
Mm.
about a market. So what do you mean by a market? How do you know if there's a market? Usually when I'm talking to people, usually when I'm doing research in entrepreneurship or whatever,
Mhm.
and going like diving deep into a certain industry, I'm able to ask customers, right? I'm able to ask potential customers like, hey, what do you want? Hey, what is your problem? Hey, like what
Mm.
issues you're dealing with and how can I solve those issues? And so that's how
Yeah.
I like quote unquote validate a market.
Mhm.
In most other product industries, but with this, I feel like it's tough. So is there like a type of market research you do, or how do you know that that
Yeah.
people are interested in this before you
I've
post it?
actually got a slide for that, so let
Ooh,
me just share my
perfect.
screen
I'll
here.
enlarge so we can see.
Go there.
Ba, ba,
Okay, there we
ba.
go. So,
Awesomeness.
yeah, markets are what I mean by markets is really any kind of trend, topic, niche, or subject that you're going to build designs around. So, really, with especially with the way my business is set up, we make most of our sales through organic searches, which is to say that customers search on Amazon or Redbubble or Google for such and such a phrase. So something like funny Halloween t-shirt. And
Mm-hmm.
then we'll be there with some funny Halloween t-shirts. And we'll obviously be one of many different, designs, but we are decent enough to make enough sales, we attract enough eyeballs to make it work. Obviously, that applies over many, many different niches and terms and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, what I mean by market is anything like that. It could be what you might call a niche, and I've just given some examples here. This isn't exhaustive by any stretch, but um, it, especially for us, like short-term trends, whether that's viral news stories, trending topics, anything that's kind of big on Twitter or pop culture things. Could be like just a funny phrase that someone said. So, for example, like the "Okay Boomer" meme type thing that went around a few months ago,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
obviously there's a million different examples of similar memes like that. So those kind of things, that's what I would class as a short-term trend. The good thing about those is that because these are short-term trends, because they've just happened, you are basically playing in a level playing field. If you're the first one there, then you get to ride the wave. You're there ahead of everyone else, or at least the competition is very limited.
Yeah.
Until it gets a few weeks down the line and everyone's doing it. But that's the good thing about short-term trends; you can kind of hop on them. Longer-term trends, like for example, maybe political movements, or I don't know, social movements, maybe
Mm-hmm.
things like climate change. It's been a long-term growing topic or trend. Again, it's difficult to get into those once they're well established. But if you're kind of in at the early days when maybe, I don't know, climate change is just kind of taking hold, or Bernie Sanders was just breaking out,
Mm-hmm.
4 or 5 years ago or something, then those are things you can hop on.
Okay, okay.
Niche groups, like any kind of hobbies, or one thing I like to do is look on places like subreddits on Reddit and see kind of what subreddits are new and are blowing up and that there's lots of interest in. So that can help you find, new niches and topics. Anything that, for example, things like Bitcoin or cryptocurrency has obviously been big and growing over the past several years. So anything that people coalesce around, where there's groups, where there's communities, um, those are things you can design around.
That's awesome.
Subject-based stuff, just like wider topics. So whatever interest topics, dinosaurs, science, anything that people are interested in. I like to go to to a bookstore and just kind of browse around and look at, different sections,
That's a
and
cool
especially
idea.
things like, yeah, just like kids sections or kids reference books. There's always like lots of ideas you can get in there. And of course, you can validate your kind of markets by going and having a search on Google or Redbubble and seeing kind of what the competition looks like. But generally, my approach has always been just create something and put it out there. And we've basically taken a volume approach. So we just create as much as we can and we just push it out there, and then we see what sticks. And then we try and use that information to to inform what else we do.
Yeah.
And things like holidays and events. So obviously Christmas, Halloween, or one of the big ones a few years ago was the eclipse that happened in the
Yeah,
States.
yeah, yeah,
I don't know why, but Americans apparently want T-shirts about the eclipse, so that was a big deal. I didn't actually make any eclipse T-shirts, but it was a big subject in our
That's
kind of
funny.
industry for a while. So yeah, those are some market ideas. Does that kind of
That's perfect.
make
That's
sense?
exactly, yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to hear. That's awesome.
Sure, yeah.
And that makes a lot of sense. But yeah, volume approach. It's interesting that you kind of just like the volume approach has worked best for you.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, I think it's certainly if you a lot of people say, like, where should they start? And a lot of people mistakenly go after, like, finding best-selling designs and just copying them or improving them or something like that.
yeah,
I recommend that people start with something they're interested in. That's how I started to get sales in the first place, was I'd create designs about, things I was interested in, topics I was interested in, jokes I thought were funny, pop culture references that I thought were funny, or I went after certain kind of niche markets, people who were into this thing or that thing or whatever.
yeah, yeah.
So I think if you create around things you know about and you're interested in, you're going to have much better success than if you just chase after, whatever trend you think is going to be big or whatever thing is kicking off right now.
Hmm.
But you develop your skills over time and you realize, what works for you and what doesn't. And yeah, you just have to kind of kick the tires and test this stuff.
Okay, awesomeness. That's awesome. That's perfect advice. No, that's a much more robust answer than I could expect. That's perfect. Yeah, no, like because it's weird to me. Like because you can't like because I'm used to interviewing customers, right? I'm used to like
Mm,
deliberately asking like, what are your problems? What do you want to buy? Like what issues are you having, and what can I create to solve that? Right. So
yeah,
this
yeah.
is a bit
I mean,
different.
this is the difference between, like, being an artist,
Hmm.
a creator or whatever, versus, someone who I don't know, builds a business that, identifies a need very particularly or whatever. For example, like, if you went to J.K. Rowling, she wasn't commissioned to write Harry Potter, and she wasn't, no one went up to her and said, "Oh, I'd really like," she didn't go out and interview people, and they didn't say, "Oh, I'd really like 6 books about a wizard who goes to a school." And just that, it just doesn't happen, does it? And
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah,
I think was it Steve Jobs who said, people don't know what they want until you show it to them. And I think that's the artist's role, if you like, is you have to create some stuff. And, there's lots of, I just did an interview with a guy called Jim Benson. I don't know if you know him. He's a cartoonist, um, who's been a big hit for many years, and he just creates, just crazy jokes and just funny cartoons. Obviously, no one commissions him. They're not really even based on, like, sorry, Ben Ton with a T.
oh,
Um,
Benson.
yeah, yeah, and they're not based on, like, you know anything that's happening right now, or but
Yay!
they're just funny comics or funny jokes and stuff. And he's been able to build a massive business and career from that stuff. And obviously, you can't really do customer research for that kind of thing.
Yeah.
You have to just intake a lot of information and then just whirl it around in your head until something funny or original comes out.
That's awesome. No, yeah, that makes sense. That's very cute. It's funny. I did Jim Bendon and I started looking up some interesting stuff. Apparently, he's an author of a very odd book. Um, but anyway, no, that totally makes sense. That's awesome, and I appreciate like going through like the ways that you kind of generate ideas. I love like the concept of like walking through a bookstore and just kind of like seeking inspiration from things that people already think are popular or things that people are already interested in.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
that's awesome. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. So, I made some very silly designs. I made just like, this is very dorky, but it's kind of meme related. Um,
yeah, yeah,
we can use this one if it's just simpler. But I was playing some games with my girlfriend and a bunch of her friends, and they were all playing like one of those Jackbox games. If you've ever played those, where you like play on your phone and you all make a bunch of things together, and it's actually a T-shirt based game.
yeah, all right.
And somebody made like a very cute little ice cream cone, and they paired it with like a very like dark phrase, and it was just I thought it was hilarious. And so I was just gonna try to use something like this as the
Yeah,
first
yeah,
little example. But yeah,
yeah.
so if we could just kind of run through it. So I have a little Redbubble account. I made a little Redbubble account,
Hmm.
and I'm assuming add new work,
That's correct. Yeah,
upload copy settings, upload all products,
yeah,
and we'll go with this one. Ba, ba,
So do you know
ba.
what size your artwork is? Because that would be one.
Yeah, I think. Let me go
As long as
check.
it's big enough, that's fine. But that's just one thing to understand is that if you're uploading a really low quality
Yeah.
artwork, then it's not going to play nicely.
Yeah, I would imagine they wouldn't rank anything like that because they have their own internal
Yeah.
search engine you were kind of explaining to me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But more to do with like the actual printing
Yeah,
quality and size and stuff.
that makes
If you
sense.
scroll down a little bit there, we could see how it's okay.
Okay, it is pretty small. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you click on under standard print clothing, if you click on edit under
Oh,
that
okay.
first T-shirt that shows up.
Yes.
So yeah, your size on the product is 100%, and it's
Okay,
still
so we should make a larger one. So in that
so you
case,
yeah.
let me
Let's see if
go.
we can do that quickly.
Yeah, here, Canva. Um, so I made it on Canva just super quick. Let's see if I can enlarge. I'll just copy paste this, but let's make a create one. Custom dimensions. Let's do like
So if you do
1,000.
4,500 by 5,400, that would be like the ideal T-shirt
Okay,
canvas.
perfect. That's great to know. And then I'll just copy paste this content over to here, and it should be a lot smaller. Yep. Let's enlarge that sucker. Woof. See if we can work with this. And is it important to have a transparent background for
Yeah.
stuff that you're doing? Okay, it is. All right.
Mhm.
So let's see. I don't think I can do that here, but I can download. Bippity boppity boo.
So yeah, the transparent background just means you could print the same design on different colored
Different
shirts,
colored shirts.
like
Yeah.
that. It's not going to
Okay.
be in a square box, when it's printed.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see if we can use this. This worked before, I think.
Hmm.
I just drop this. Remove background. Usually it works all right. Yeah, it has trouble.
Yes.
Doesn't get the end me, which is
Yeah.
important.
Weird. Well,
um. Okay.
solid black text. You think it would?
I know you would expect. There's another one that I was using, just really
Yeah.
quick. If we can see photo scissors, I think this is the one. Upload image. Bop, bop. The main thing that I do, because I make a lot of logos online and I make a lot of different
Mhm.
little things like that. Aha,
Yeah,
perfect.
yeah.
Um, download low resolution, log in. Um, which one was it? I thought I had to, was it this one? No, it was a different one. This one charges you.
Mm.
Oh no, it doesn't. I'm a fool. Download low resolution. Let's see, is that too low? No, we probably shouldn't download low resolution.
Probably is.
All right, here, hold on. If I can't find it in the next 10 seconds, we're just gonna deal with it. This is just for kind
If
of,
you wanted to just email me the image, I could probably just use Photoshop and
ooh,
delete it pretty
um,
quick.
yeah, let's do that. Why not? Oh no, wait, this is the one that worked.
Okay.
Hold on, choose photo. This is the one that worked with it last time. So, untitled design. Yes, come on, you got it. I believe in you, background burner. Yay!
Mm.
Yay!
Any background burner.
Select, and then how do I download again? Boop, download. Download as PNG.
Transparent background.
Perfect. And then, okay, that should work. Let's try that again. Oh gosh. Um.
Yeah, if you
Uh,
click, if you hover over your
oh,
ice cream
good
there,
point.
replace image. Yep.
Boom. That should work much better. Upload complete.
Uh,
Edit.
no, yeah.
What?
Oh.
Interesting.
Hmm.
Well, I think we're just gonna deal with it.
Yep.
All
Just
right,
go with that.
regardless.
We'll
But
just
okay, it's
imagine
good to
them
know. Like
nice and big. Yeah.
large images are typically better. That makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
But we're just gonna use this as an example, just because heck it.
Yeah.
Because I
So
think
I think,
yeah.
yeah, before you get into like your titles and your tags and your descriptions and stuff, I think So what I would be doing with any design I create, obviously, is kind of my process is have an idea, turn it into a concept, and then turn it into a design.
Mhm.
So that idea would be informed by, you know, I would have some kind of rough idea about who my market was, who I was going after, and what kind of terms or words I would use to describe that audience. So, I mean, just looking at this design, obviously, it's not crystal clear what that is, but we could try and, assign it to we could have a think about what kind of audience would like something like this or who it
Yeah.
might appeal to. So for example, it's kind of a cute, what's the word, like a kawaii Japanese style
Mhm, mhm.
almost illustration, or it could be adapted to look a bit more that way. So that's one thing you could do. You can describe like the style of the art. You can describe, what people would be into, some words around that. So for example, I would maybe just Google kawaii, see if there are other terms and words we could hop on, or even things like you could say it's a cute ice cream or cute ice cream illustration or something like that. Obviously the subject, so you've got ice cream, you've got, I don't know, snacks, you've got frozen stuff. I don't know. I don't know. But basically, that's kind of my process: is run through, some ideas, and those would form your tags and your keywords and stuff. Um, and then you would think about kind of what the design says. So obviously, this one, I mean, literally, it says "and me," but what does that, how might you describe that design? Taking a step back, how might someone, if someone saw you on the train or on the bus or something, and you were wearing this T-shirt, and they were like, "Oh, I saw this really funny T-shirt, but I can't remember what it said, but it was really cool." What are they going to go home and search on Google to find that
Yeah, okay.
T-shirt? So um, I just think you could do, something about how, you've got this contrast between the cute ice cream and the kind of scary text or something. I don't know whether you'd call that like, perhaps ironic or something like that, or even
Yeah.
sarcastic. You could use words like that to kind of describe it.
Sarcastic,
Um,
I like that.
but I think, like personally, I would take this concept and develop it further before I, uploaded it. I think
Mhm,
it needs a bit more polish,
mhm.
you know, and to get it somewhere where, it's a design that people would search for and then but yeah, that kind of gives you at least a simple approach to how I would kind of look at titling and describing it and stuff. Um, so in technical terms, yeah, you with your titles and your descriptions, basically, if you know anything about SEO, it's essentially an SEO game. What you're trying to do is tell Redbubble what your design is about, because obviously Redbubble doesn't know what this design is about. They're a
Mhm.
computer, they're an algorithm. So you need to give them as much information as possible that says, hey, this is what it's about. And with your title and description, what you're really doing in your title is saying this is what it's most about. So
Yeah.
you can have tags that are about 50 different things or whatever, but in your title, you want to really say, okay, this is the one I'm really going for. It's cute, funny ice cream, cute, funny, sarcastic ice cream, or something like that. But you
Okay,
want to
yeah.
get those terms in there. And the same with your description. You just want to kind of repeat your most popular, most important terms, and make sure that you get those in there in a way that makes sense. So don't just spam it like you would with your tags, but actually write out sentences that make sense.
Yeah, okay, okay. So in this case, we could use something like sarcastic cute ice cream. Kawaii, I like the kawaii term, that makes sense. Sarcastic. George Fleming suggested dissonance because maybe
Yeah,
that's it might be a little bit of a long tail keyword, but okay. And
yeah.
then description, full sentences. So
So how? Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I would love some advice because
I
I'm
was
a
going to
little
say
bit.
what I would usually do is something like this. It usually follows a formula that's something like this. Um, I would try to like repeat the title really early on in the description, just so it's really kind of
Hmm.
towards the start of the sentence. So I would sometimes just say, "This sarcastic, cute ice cream design is perfect for um, the depressed ice cream lover in your life," or something like that. Um, so
Here's perfect. The uh,
yeah,
you are.
for the metalhead ice cream lover or something.
Yeah, I like that. The dark.
And then yeah, just try and get a few of the keywords in there. Do something like, if you like ice cream, cute snacks, and talking frozen products, then wearing this design will make you happy. I don't know,
No,
something
yeah,
along those.
no, rock on. This is perfect. This is exactly what I wanted. If you
Yeah,
like ice cream, cute snacks, and talking first and try. Then try wearing this design. Boom. Perfect. Awesomeness. That sounds great.
right.
Background color. There are other language options here. I'm assuming, like, because my thing has English in it. I would
Yeah.
assume that's a little bit
I think
more.
Redbubble attempts to translate them
Hmm.
into other languages, but if you, for example, also spoke Dutch and French and Spanish or German,
Hmm.
then
Hmm.
you would be able to go in there and give it even more specific language descriptions. But obviously, for most of us, myself included, I do not speak very good anything.
Yeah, I feel that.
Very
I'm
good English.
very monolingual.
Yeah.
Okay, cool, awesomeness.
So yeah, now you've
Um,
got the option to like decide which products you want it to go on. So obviously the design looks pretty good there on a phone case and stuff.
mhm, mhm.
Um, so it's up to you to just kind of go through and enable them. I think maybe I'd be tempted to, if you go back up to the top, you got the option to set a background color. Maybe pick like if you click the hex, yeah, maybe like go for like a light blue or something that might just work well with that design, just to kind of spice things up a bit. So if you hovered over the
Ooh,
kind of rainbow bit there,
yeah.
moved it down to the blue, yep, just
Aha.
click there
Oh,
somewhere.
love is having some
Yeah, if you go
trouble.
down to the blue bit,
Ah,
and then
you can do
I
it.
would
I
kind of
believe in you.
go
There we go.
yeah, and then just pick kind of a light blue somewhere. Yeah, it's somewhere on the top there.
Yeah. Come on, you can do it.
It's not liking it.
Oh, it really isn't.
There you
Okay.
there you go. That'll do.
Yeah,
Perfect.
perfect.
So that
Okay.
kind of fits nicely with the pink. So if you scroll back down, we should see like, now things start to look a little bit more.
Yeah. Hey, that's cute. I
Yeah,
like that.
got like a nice kind of contrast between the colors and stuff. So again, of
Yeah.
course, it helps if you've got a designer's eye for stuff, but
Mhm,
you
mhm.
can learn about color matching and things like that, and color wheels and all that kind of jazz. Um, but yeah, basically, you can choose which products you want to enable. Typically, I try to enable as many as makes sense.
Yeah.
Like as long as the design isn't, for example, if it was a men's only design or a women's only design, I wouldn't put it on a dress, for
Yeah.
example. But apart from that, it's really just kind of, if it makes sense, then stick it on as many products as you can. And you have the option
Shower
to kind of
curtains. You got everything here.
really work too well there.
This is awesome. Yeah, probably
So I
not
think there's
scratch.
60 something products they have now on Redbubble. So yeah, you got plenty to.
Wow, you can really go hard on this. This is amazing. There's so
Yeah,
many options. I had no. Geez, they can print everything. Boop
yeah,
boop
yeah.
boop. Socks probably not. Um.
Imagine when you've got hundreds of designs and you're uploading them to Redbubble.
Yeah.
It's the part where it gets quite time.
That's wild. Tablet cases and skins. Okay, perfect. I think I've selected everything that I like.
So
Um.
scroll down now. So you can. I think that media option is optional. You don't have to
Okay.
put anything there. You can kind of ignore that. Default view in your shop is kind of what product it's going to display on. So you can choose to just show the design. That would be image only, or you can show the T-shirt, for example, or the sticker.
Oh,
Or
okay. So it prioritizes something.
the
Let's
yeah, yeah.
prioritize the iPhone, the phone case,
Phone case.
phone
I,
cases and covers. Cool, awesome. Because that's where it looked nice. I think it
yeah, it
was
looks cool.
it
Looks
fit
nice.
really well. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So then you want to make sure anybody, the public, can view it, and you
Mhm.
want to make sure it's not mature content, and they tell you what that is anyway. So
Mhm.
in this case, it's not. Yep. Make sure you say that you have the rights to sell the artwork.
Mhm.
So um, that just means, of course, that you created the design. That it's not, someone else's art. It's not someone else's design,
Yeah.
and that you are the creator.
Rock
You
on.
hold the copyright to use the legal jargon.
That sounds great.
And
Awesomeness.
that's it.
Save work, processing. Perfect. How wonderful.
Yay. Nearly there. There you go.
Awesome. That's great. And then boom, you can just add it. This is so cool, and you can change for the wow. This is so flexible in terms of an
Yeah, it should give
actual.
you all the different options and stuff.
Yeah, that's wow. They have everything all mapped out. This is so cool.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
So you
awesome.
can see there, if you scroll down, you see how Redbubble's taken the keywords you used and it's already created like little tags and stuff
Yeah. Whoa.
spaces. And so for SEO purposes, Redbubble is, trying to get this page ranked in Google
Yeah.
for all those terms, and it's already, it's taking what you've given it. So that's where like Redbubble, obviously, Redbubble's not that well known a company in and
Yeah.
of themselves, but people search on Google and then they land on Redbubble, they end up on Redbubble and they buy from there. So that's important to have your tags sorted out and everything.
Yeah. So if I went to shopping here, um, let's see. Custom Ink has some.
Bit of uh, oh, you can see TeePublic there.
Yeah.
Redbubble actually owns TeePublic. They bought TeePublic
Oh,
last year.
really? That's nice. That's
Yeah, yeah.
funny. Yeah, TeePublic is there. That makes sense. Okay, TeePublic. Okay, very cool. And you can see Etsy here. Okay, this makes a lot of sense. And $6 shirts is yeah. Okay, interesting. Very very cool. So yeah, and it'll just show up here in terms of shopping. So when I click here, maybe yeah, this will show
Yeah,
images,
if you
but
do like
usually
funny ice cream shirt or something like that, I
yeah.
bet you'd see some Redbubble action there.
Funny ice cream shirt shopping.
So you got Etsy.
Let's see, Redbubble. Yeah, right over here.
Yeah.
That's cool. Awesomeness. That
So
makes
yeah, they're
sense.
boosting your stuff on Google Shopping, and obviously they're trying to get it in the results everywhere. So and they're pretty good. I think maybe TeePublic more so than Redbubble, but they both do retargeting. So obviously, if someone does click on your design, then they retarget you across the web with Google
with
Ads and everything.
with that
So
very specific design.
yes, with the specific design and with
That's
related
amazing.
designs, but yeah.
That is so cool. So wow, they have the whole shebang like planned out. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, like, these are big like, Redbubble's a publicly traded, company and on the Australian Stock Exchange, um, so they know what they're doing.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's awesome. Okay, cool. And in terms of, so that was awesome. That's a super easy process to go through. So in terms of like this and how it functions, it's interesting just to see like it makes sense that doing this at scale really like it's not that hard, but like creating all of the designs is going to take quite a
Yeah,
while. It's quite a
it's
bit of
it's
effort.
basically a game of volume and obviously time because it does take time for, like, designs to get embedded and in algorithms and stuff to show
Hmm.
up consistently enough, but yeah, basically, it's kind of a certainly the 80-20 rule, like, if you create 100 designs, 80 will be pretty slow and do very little, and 20 will do good,
Yeah.
hopefully, if as long as you're not really, really bad. So that's certainly been the case with our designs, we'll create 100 or whatever over the course of a year or a few months or something, and then there'll be 20 that stand out that were for whatever reason, either they predicted a trend or they got ahead of a trend or they for some reason that we could never have predicted, they blew up, you know, a
Hmm.
design that we created 3 years ago for some reason went berserk. So yeah, basically a game of putting stuff out there, seeing what hits, and kind of obviously you can build your own Shopify store. You can have you can promote on Instagram. You can do all this stuff, but we'll find that most of our stuff comes from organic searches, and because we have such a big portfolio of designs going back many years, then it becomes a steady business that you can kind of rely on month after month.
Yeah, awesomeness. That's great. That's super super cool. Yeah, and that broadness allows you to kind of rely on it because it is kind of a numbers game, and if you have enough out there, then just by law of probability, I think you end up getting a
Yeah,
much more consistent revenue. That makes sense. That's awesome.
You could go the other way, and you could be like, "Well, I know about this subject, so I'm just gonna go all in on this subject and create
Yeah.
designs about this subject." If you go in that route, though, you probably would well, I suppose you could start off with, like, Redbubble and stuff, but you'd probably wanna quickly get to Shopify and your own brand and stuff because otherwise, what's the benefit? You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
exactly.
If
If
you're trying to build a brand, then you better hurry up and get building that brand because it's hard
yeah.
enough, doing that without waiting years to see if your brand will take off on Redbubble and stuff. 'Cause it's probably not gonna it's a different business model, if you see
Yeah.
what I mean.
For sure, yeah.
Having a brand that you drive traffic to through Instagram or ads or whatever, and, that's a different game really than the organic search powered, high volume print on demand marketplace thing.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, cool. Yeah, so if you are going to just kind of like broadly, if you are, Toast says it's a Darwinian approach to the market, put a bunch of candidates out there,
Yeah,
see which one thrives. Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
awesomeness.
it's a wide open kind of I think especially with, the technologies there and on a marketplace like Amazon, I mean, Redbubble as well, but especially with Amazon, you think about Amazon as, the biggest, e-commerce site on the planet and how many millions of customers it has searching on there every day. But with Merch by Amazon, you have the opportunity to create a design, and if someone searches for it, it will literally be there. And this can happen in minutes. Like we've had designs that we've created, uploaded, and within an hour they've sold.
That's
And
crazy.
the ability to get in front of people like that, if you are hot on a trend or you spot something before anyone else does, then you can really do that. Now, unfortunately, it is wide open, so there's lots of competitors. So as
Hmm.
soon as something does start selling, people tend to notice, people tend to hop on and copy it or improve it or whatever. So it's kind of law of the jungle at the moment. But
Yeah,
but still, if you're quick and if you've got a lot of designs and you keep putting out this stuff year after year, then a few years down the line, you should be sitting on a nice, regular, pretty stable income from these sites.
that's awesome. That's super, super awesome. And you share with me a little bit on kind of best practices in terms of like color appropriate for market, just in terms of like like design advice. And we
Hmm.
didn't go over too much of that because I had a little thing kind of laid out. If you have
Yeah,
anything you want to share on that, that'd be awesome. Yeah.
yeah. I'll just cover those bullet points really quick. So basically, t-shirts. If you think of t-shirt, the medium of t-shirts, they're really an immediate medium. They communicate an idea very very quickly. This is not like a painting or a I don't know a wall chart with lots of detail on it. This is something that needs to get a joke or a message over very quickly. So it helps to really limit anything that gets in the way of getting that message across. So mistakes artists make, when they try to start designing for t-shirts, they use too many colors. It confuses the design. It makes it difficult to kind of understand quickly.
Hmm.
Similar things with like fonts or the art style. Like if you're a very intricate, detailed designer, then you probably need to lose some of that detail in order to create a good t-shirt that's going to get a joke across very quickly. So it tends to be, quite text based or very simple graphic. Like your ice cream example is actually quite a good one. The art was vector based. It wasn't too detailed. It was simple. You can look at it and immediately get what it's supposed to be. So it's those kind of principles that really matter. And then really designing for the t-shirt. So thinking, this is going on a t-shirt. A lot of designers make the mistake of maybe they're a logo designer or they design for, I don't know, graphics for the web or whatever it is. And they come over to t-shirts and they start, thinking that they can just design a logo and whack it on a t-shirt. It doesn't tend to work that way. It works much better if you think, okay, this is a t-shirt, someone's going to wear it. How should I approach the design in that sense? And that means the concept, how it looks, the message, all that stuff really matters. So,
Yeah.
yeah, hopefully I'll just give a few pointers on that.
No, yeah, for sure. I think the best advice that I heard in there that makes really like good sense to me is like just like the medium of a t-shirt is very very like quick. Like the idea gets across. It should like you shouldn't have to like have somebody like hold out their t-shirt and be like, "Hey, check
Yeah,
it out," and it takes them like 5 seconds to understand what's going on, right? It should be like you see it like you half see it on a train and it's like, "Oh, that's hilarious," right?
yeah, yeah.
It
And
should get
like,
across really quickly.
yeah, like especially if you look at like political t-shirts and stuff like the logo, or Trump 2020, or Make America Great Again.
Mhm.
These kind of things that you can use those kind of principles and think, okay, how can I parody this or do something,
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
based how can I take this trend that's blowing up and do it like a Bernie logo or whatever? And yeah, those kind of things are good places to start and
That
get
makes
inspiration.
sense. Yeah, because they're existing like things that people recognize right off the bat. Like something that
Exactly. Yeah.
something recognizable, you parody that and that makes it a lot more that makes okay,
Exactly.
awesome. That's awesome. Um in terms of let's see. Let's see. So number of designs, 100,000 second. Yeah, you kind of expressed like you have like tens of thousands of designs out there at this point.
Mm,
Um,
yeah.
and that's taken a while, and that took quite a amount of time. So it took you about 2 to 3 years, you said, to get to a point where you were quitting your job and doing this completely
Yeah.
independently, right?
Yeah. I mean, I got lucky in that kind of this Merch by Amazon thing came out, which really carried us, to the next level.
Yeah.
Uh, Now we're a few years into Merch by Amazon. It's not the early days like it was a few years ago, but still, if you're an artist and you're able and willing to put in 2 to 3 years, you know, and 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 kind of not expect too much until you get to that 2 or 3 year mark, then I think there's still definitely a pathway there to get to, 9 to 5 quitting level.
Yeah, for sure.
I think it just takes a lot of consistent output, willing to kind of spend time on it and keep going at it and just improving as you go. And there's lots of other, it's not like you just upload on Redbubble and hope for the best. You can take those designs, you can build a brand, you can go into the world of licensing offline. So for example, we now license to manufacturers and retailers. We have licensing deals with Hot Topic and other retailers and stuff for some of our designs. So it's not like if it doesn't work online, it won't work anywhere. You can still kind of there's all kinds of various ways you can take those designs that you've created and turn them into other paths for income down the
Yeah.
line. So
Okay. Awesomeness. That no, that's super good advice. Yeah. So there's more than just posting online. There's a lot more in terms of business that you can do. That's great to hear.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I certainly don't think. I think if you're kind of really early stages and you're not really that competent a designer, then it's going to take you a while to get into the flow of things. But I think if you are, and I don't want to tell people to like sit back and just hope for the best and twiddle their thumbs. I'd rather give people advice that's like, here's how to market this, here's how to create really good designs, here's how to supercharge your success really.
Mhm.
But at the same time, I don't want to be like, oh, this is you'll be quitting your job in 2 weeks if you come up with a funny T-shirt design.
Yeah.
I think the main thing is most people struggle with that kind of um, how many designs they need to create.
Yeah.
I mean, I've interviewed quite a few successful T-shirt designers on my blog, and the majority of those who are successful have incredibly high levels of output that
Yeah.
would shock most people, or they've been doing it for 20 years. So of course they have a massive portfolio of designs because they've been
Mhm.
designing for 20 years. Um, so yeah, I just think it's one of those things where it can happen that you have a massive viral hit that makes thousands of dollars in a day, but it's more likely that it's going to take you a long kind of slog building up that portfolio before you get to regular thousands of dollars a month.
Yeah, okay. Awesomeness. And so the concept of like 2 to 3 years, that makes sense, but if you're okay with sharing this, like it sounds like you kind of gave us an example of like tens of thousands. You have a lot of stuff out there, but that's more for your full-time business. When it comes to these bloggers or like you do a guest blog and you'll interview an artist, is there usually an actual volume of designs that you've seen online where it starts to get to the
I mean,
point of like
it
full-time?
does differ. Like, for example, there's an artist called Vincent Trinidad who I interviewed. I think he's based in Thailand or Malaysia or something, or the Philippines. One of those. Anyway, but yeah, you can see the kind of quality of his work and how
Yeah.
good he is. But he has somewhere between 1,000 and 2,000 designs. So you think about the amount of effort he's put in to
Yeah, no
get to that
kidding.
point. And he only started, I think, 5 years ago or something. So his output is incredible.
Yeah.
Um, but then on the other hand, there's a guy like David Olenek, who I just did a blog post with last week, and he's I think got about 100 designs or somewhere around that, maybe 100 to 200. So not if you go on michaelessek.com and just scroll down, he's like the second blog post
Okay,
on
awesome. Michael
David.
Essek.
Uh,
Here we go.
so he's got maybe yeah, I think I'm going to say sub 200, but he's got a very specific style.
Yeah.
You know, he's been licensed. Um, for various different products, and I think he's been doing things for about 5 years. So he's a guy who's you know, got maybe a tenth of the designs of Vincent. I mean, I don't know what kind of earnings they're both making, what kind of, but I
Mhm.
know that they're both full time,
Mhm.
royalty based. Certainly, the majority of their income is royalties, and they both do this full time. That's their job. Um, so, so it can be, I would say if you're thinking you're going to be anything approaching full time on less than 100 designs,
Yeah.
then yourself.
Okay.
But
No, it's perfect to know.
doesn't necessarily have to be in the thousands before it can really work for you, depending on your skill level and stuff like that.
Just writing that down. Anywhere from a few hundred to 2,000 can be a nice estimate for where you start to make a bit more sustainable and
Yeah,
reliable cash flow. Okay, awesomeness. Very very cool. And if anybody wants to read, if anybody's watching wants to read, michaelessek.com. He has a ton of blog articles like this where he interviews people, or and I think you also have a couple of courses or classes
yeah,
online for stuff like this. So yeah, no, plenty of it, like he's going to be the main source for anything like this. I was looking up other people in this space, and you seem to be the thought leader when it comes to this kind of business, and it's super cool. If I may
yeah. There's
ask,
a few other guys out there, but I think it's still quite a new industry, really.
for
Print
sure,
on demand,
yeah,
and certainly, I mean, I remember when I was trying to get into it, there were very few people, very few artists who wrote about what they were doing or how they were doing it. Maybe just one or two, really. So yeah, I just felt there was a need really for more information about how do you do it, all the ins and outs, all the intricacies of trying to make a decent income from it. Because obviously it's possible, but it always seemed kind of clouded in smoke and mirrors. How are people actually making money from this? What's the main
yeah.
thing that moves the dial that actually makes a difference between a bad design and a good one? And where should you upload and all those kind of things. So
Yeah, rock on. Well, here's some. We already showed some links to leading artists in the space. Unless you have anybody else to share.
yeah, maybe actually my blog is probably the best place to find. I think if you go to any of those artist interview blogs and scroll down, there's a list of like I think 7 or 8 now that I've done with artists who are all full time from t-shirt designs
Yeah,
principally, or something else art licensing related. So yeah, those are a good place to start for people who are. So yeah, Stephen Rhodes, Vincent,
yeah.
all these guys are doing it
Awesomeness.
as a full-time gig. So yeah, I mean, and obviously, if you want to subscribe to my newsletter, that's where I put out um, helpful information and tips and tricks and stuff, and share things I find. So you can sign up, obviously, for free as well. Um, yeah, but
Hell yeah.
I
I
think I've
wasn't.
interviewed most of the. I mean, there's a few designers I'm still trying to interview, but they're not actually playing ball with me yet. So need to
It
keep
takes
trying on.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to keep following up with people. Well, awesome. That's been all my questions. I think we ran through kind of everything that was here. So yeah, everybody, I would love it if you went and go checked out michaelessek.com. He's got a ton of great stuff on there. Um, and yeah, I don't know. That's all my questions. I super appreciate that. Was a great process. We went through everything. Now I know exactly how it works.
Mhm.
And we have all of it just kind of recorded, and so I'm gonna make a bunch of videos out of this. If you want any of the content from this live stream, just let me know, and I can clip something for you and send it to you.
Yeah, that'd be great.
But yeah, so awesome. If you have anything else to say, or anything you want to plug,
No, no,
feel free to.
if you are interested in this kind of thing and you're looking at creating designs, then I would say A good place to start is my book. It's called The Little Book of T-Shirt Ideas. If you go to littleideasbook.com, you'll find it there. It's basically a really useful tool for people who are getting started because it shows you a lot of formulas and frameworks to come up with original, funny ideas. So rather than you having to, start from scratch, as it were, you can look through a list of, you know, proven formulas, proven funny phrases and stuff to help you come up with original ideas. And it kind of walks you through the process of everything. So you can go, I want to do a t-shirt about this topic. Okay, here's some ways you can tackle that topic with proven, formulas and frameworks and stuff. So that's the only thing I really would plug. But apart from that, thank you for having me on, man. It's been
Yeah,
fun.
absolutely. I super appreciate it. So yeah, I'm probably going to stay on and talk with the audience a little bit more and just kind of discuss ideas and probably run through a bit more pieces of your website. But I super appreciate this. This
No
was
problem.
that's a ton of fun, and I feel like I learned a whole heckin' bunch. So I super appreciate it.
All right. Okay. I'll leave you to it then.
All right, sounds great. And I'll shoot you an email,
Okay.
and we can go back and forth on if you want any of this content or if I can do anything else.
Great. Thanks, man.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I'll talk to you
Okay.
soon.
Talk soon. Bye bye.
Bye. What a cool dude. Ah, fuck. Wasn't cursing that whole time, but oh my god, I love him. He's so wholesome. He's such a nice fella. Jesus. Ugh. That makes me so happy. So that was a really nice successful. Just like on the actual like framework of the post. Um, First of all, this time slot seems to be really working for people, which is really cool. We have like 15 viewers. It may just also be that the content is more interesting. But this has been great. We covered so much content. Now we know exactly how this works. I wanted to mention his book because it does look really cool, and I think that is a great place to start. So if anybody actually wants to work on this, I can't imagine it's unbelievably expensive. But like books are usually cheap nowadays. But yeah, he was very clearly knew what he was talking about with this kind of stuff. I loved that. That was so much fucking fun. Oh my god. Um, that was great. So yeah, no, it's interesting because he has like there's Redbubble, there's TeePublic, there's Amazon Merch, and Amazon Merch like the SEO there seems to work like really quickly. So if you whereas on Redbubble and TeePublic, it sounded kind of like maybe it was a little bit longer, but who knows? Maybe it's just as quick. But he was able to like double everything overnight when Merch by Amazon came out, just because the SEO works so quick. That's fascinating. That's absolutely fascinating. So if you are an artist. I'm going to make a bunch of LinkedIn posts about this because this is amazing content, and I'm going to have my editor spin this out into a couple of video posts. But I'll be posting a ton about this. I'm going to try to make a little guide just based roughly on what Michael was saying. But that's super cool. So anywhere from a few hundred to 2,000 can end up making you full time, right? And that's a lot. That's a lot of fucking art. But that's doable, right? Like that's manageable. That's awesome. So anybody like that, it takes about 2 to 3 years, I would imagine. Even if like, so let's kind of span that out. So 2 to 3 years. Let's say on the maximum. Let's say I suck at art. Let's say I'm terrible, and it's going to take me about 2,000 just to find something. And I'm trying to play on trends. I'm trying to play on viral things. I'm trying to play on memes. Like whatever it is, I'm trying really hard. But I'm just not unbelievably successful or unbelievably specific or just that great as an artist. Like I'm not some unbelievably amazing professional, and I'm still working on my art skills and I'm still figuring out how this works. So we'll say 2,000 divided by, let's say, 2 years, 3 years. So that's what, about like 700, 800 days ish, right? Like somewhere between 2 and 3 years. So if that's true, they need to be putting out 2.5 on average, 2.5 designs per day. So that's a lot. That is a lot of fucking work, right? And it starts to kind of make sense when we were talking about this guy, because one of his things was like draw until your back hurts or design until your back hurts. That's a lot of fucking work, right? So that takes time. But if you are consistent, like let's say you have a 9 to 5 job, right? Let's say you have a 9 to 5. You get home at 6-ish, and because you wake up at 9, you probably go to bed at around 11 or midnight. Or no, you have a 9 to 5 job, so you probably wake up at around like 8, depending on your commute. You still around 11 or midnight, right? You go to bed around 11 or midnight. So let's say midnight. Let's say you go to bed at midnight. You get home at 6. So you have 6 hours to draw 2.5 things, A lot of work, pretty difficult. Or you could just spend the weekends doing twice as much, or like it would be every weekend would be you would have to do like what 3.5 times 2.5. So probably somewhere around like 8 drawings per day on the weekends if you wanted to. So that's a lot. That is a lot of work. But if you're consistent and if you have like a nice design and if you're clever, you start to learn after a while. Hey, like I don't care how long it takes you. Maybe it takes you 10 years. Maybe it takes you 5 years. There was a guy that was doing it for 20 years. Like, just as a little side hobby, this can eventually lead to some full-time, very, like, hands-off kind of stuff. Because once this kind of stuff starts selling, and if you play on, like, long-term trends and things like that kind of are a little bit more evergreen, that's hard. Like, it's much easier to, I would assume, play on trends because the popularity of those kind of fluctuates and you can jump on that train. But if you do kind of like evergreen designs that aren't necessarily like wildly trendy or wildly viral based, then like in let's say like 5 years time, just you can transition into something that's very hands off. And once it's all there, like you can make more designs if you want, just to kind of experiment and have fun. But more or less, that's pretty like low commitment after you've put the designs up there. Like let's say you end up getting 1,000 designs up there, like that's just gonna kind of, as long as the designs aren't based on viral things or aren't based on things that have a very short lifespan on the internet or in culture, then that's kind of just chilling there, right? Like you don't necessarily need to do too much. I would suggest like making more designs just so you can build that portfolio and increase your level of comfort. But like heck, that works, and you're just kind of chilling at that point. You don't really have to work after that point, so you are full time, and it's not a ton of work from that point on because you have this like a nice stable portfolio. And that's how like affiliate sales kind of end up working, and that's how royalties end up working, right? Like as long as your content piece, your book, your movie, whatever it is popular enough in terms of a long term thing, and people keep watching it, then your revenue stream is essentially just more or less evergreen, or it is for at least like a good number of years. And that's amazing. That's so cool. So that's kind of like 4-hour work week kind of stuff. That's fascinating. That's super fascinating. Yeah. I love that. I super love that. If anybody has any questions, I'm sorry the thing was getting a little bit confusing and the comments weren't always popping up. So if anybody doesn't, I'm glad you liked my design, George. I appreciate that. It was kind of funny. Good to see you too, Young. Let's connect. I don't think we're connected yet. Aswin, are we connected? It's so cool that I apologize if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, Aswin, but that's super cool that you're a fan of Michael's. That's super awesome. We have fans of his in the chat and everything like that. That's great. But yeah, no, this has been really fun. I'm really excited about this. I want to have more. I want to have more guests on because that was like I think Michael was special. Like he's a especially nice guy. He was really knowledgeable about everything in that space. But that was awesome. I'm so happy about that. So yeah, if you have any like suggestions for guests in the future or people that you think are awesome, yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for joining, Olga. I apologize. We were in the middle of a conversation, so I couldn't respond too much to you before. But I appreciate you hopping on. Also, like this is a random ass time. Like this is like noon on a Wednesday, right? I might start trying to do streams more around this time period because it just seems like a lot of people are joining. Which is really cool. I'm really glad. In terms of Twitch, we got a bunch of joiners. In terms of LinkedIn, we got a bunch of joiners. So maybe I'll try earlier on a midday kind of thing because usually I just do Saturdays in the middle of the night, like or really late evening. But yeah, no, this is a great fucking stream. I'm really happy with this. So if you have any other people that you want me to interview, you think would be great, that are very educational in terms of a hyper-specific niche of side hustles, of entrepreneurship, of companies, of whatever, right, of revenue streams. If it's helping you make money and it's helping you be your own person, and maybe like if you want to transition career-wise, helping you transition, like if there's anybody out there like that, I would love to fucking know about them. I have a few other people that I want to interview. Michael Essek is done. He's one of my like top guests that I wanted to interview, and I'm really excited that I got to talk to him. And then there's a few others. There's my friend Bobby, and then there's Peter. But yeah, that was really great. It was really fucking great. Let's see. Is there anything else that I wanted to say? Oh, quick little rant thing before we hop off. I'm gonna make this a short one, but before I hop off, I ordered like $100 of camera of like studio equipment yesterday, and so I'm gonna move my desk around. I'm gonna do this whole thing. I'm basically gonna put a green screen around my back, so I'll just be like all of this stuff around here, like all my background, won't be there, and I'm just gonna kind of pop myself in the corner, like down here. And it'll just be kind of me on the screen just doing things. It'll make it seem a little bit higher quality. It's not that big a deal, but I think it'll change the quality of the stream a bit. And I'm getting a better webcam because my lighting sucks for my webcam, and I'm often like pasted out on this side. But beyond that, all is well. It's super cool that there are just other other options beyond Redbubble, TeePublic, merch on Amazon, selling platforms and options like Etsy, Shopify. Yeah, no, that's so cool. There's a whole entire ecosystem around this. So I would love it if people gave this a shot. I'm gonna be posting a bunch on LinkedIn just to kind of make a video. I might write a little article, but probably more just posts. My posts seem to be doing better. But yeah, that was a ton of fun. I'm really happy about that. Coolness. Yeah, let's talk soon. I'll see you later, Olga. Thank you. I appreciate you hopping on. It was great that you just kind of jumped on right now. Middle of the day, middle of the morning. Well, cool. I'll be publishing some more stuff about this, but in the meantime, I hope everybody has a great day. That was an awesome interview, and you'll be seeing more about this because that was a ton of flippin' fun. Also, what's up, Brian? How's it fucking going? I haven't seen you in forever. I hope you're coming to Moss, and if you're not, also okay, but it'd be great to see you there because I haven't seen you in forever. Yeah. I'll hang out with y'all soon. Have a great day. And let me know if there's anybody else who want me to interview. Just shoot me a message or whatever else it is. So I will see y'all soon.